Chosen one, listen not with your ears, but with your soul. An angel has been sent to you not by accident, not because you cried out, but by direct command from the throne of heaven. Your name was spoken aloud before the council of fire, and that moment changed everything. You have been appointed, and with that appointment comes both a weight and a decision. If your soul awakens and receives these words within the next 55 seconds, the gates of divine blessing will open wide, and heaven's golden light will flood your days. But if you meet this moment with indifference, if you scroll away or treat this as something common, then the scroll bearing your name and destiny will be sealed shut. And when it closes, no angel, no matter how powerful, will be allowed to open it again. Right now, you are standing at a sacred crossroads, one that only a few souls throughout time have ever reached. Your heart is being weighed in the unseen realm, and what you choose in the next breath will either resurrect what was written about you before time began, or allow it to be buried beneath delay and silence. This is not a video you stumbled upon. This is not a coincidence playing out on your screen. This is a divine summons, a direct holy intervention into your timeline. Can you feel it? Because what is unfolding before you cannot be manufactured by human hands. A golden opportunity, forged in eternity, is now hovering over your life, and it will not wait long. You don't remember, but heaven does. You have no recollection of the long nights when your soul trembled and your prayers fell silent, but someone was watching. Someone stood guard while darkness crept to your doorstep, while fear whispered through the cracks of your spirit, while despair tried to convince you to give up. An angel stood at your window, sword drawn, shielding you from attacks you never even saw coming. You were not abandoned. You were never forgotten. Even when you felt invisible to the world, even when you questioned if God heard you at all, the silence was never empty. It was sacred, and you were seen. There were moments when your heart shattered so quietly, no one on earth noticed, but heaven did. Every unspoken ache, every tear that never reached your lips, was caught and recorded, not in a ledger of shame, but in a bottle of remembrance. You may have forgotten how many times you cried out, but heaven didn't. Your weeping became a map, your groaning became incense, and that is why now, at this appointed hour, the silence has lifted, the pause has ended. The test has begun not to punish you, but to prove the weight of your calling. Something sacred is unfolding around you even now. The very air feels different because it is. Heaven is not far off in this moment. It is leaning close. The thrones are watching. The winds are listening. The spiritual realm has shifted its attention towards you because your destiny has arrived at a divine intersection. And what happens next depends on what awakens inside of you. This is your test, not a theory, not a symbol, a real, sacred test. And it has already begun. If your spirit opens now, truly opens, you will unlock one of the rarest gifts heaven has ever hidden within time. This is not something given lightly. It is not for the distracted. It is not for the curious. It is for the chosen. If your spirit has awakened, don't hesitate. Comment 777 now as a sign you've received the message. This number is a divine code completion alignment calling. Let heaven see your response. The scroll is opening. Your time is now. 777. Chosen one, what stands before you now was crafted by God himself before you ever drew breath. It was woven into the folds of eternity, reserved for this exact moment. A golden opportunity, divine, eternal, and alive is hovering within reach, but it cannot enter a heart that is cold. It will not remain before a soul that scrolls. If you pass by this message with detachment, if you silence the trembling in your chest and treat this like anything less than holy, then what was once reserved for you will vanish into the fire. And the truth is this: the messenger may never be sent again. This is not comfort. This is a revelation. You are not being coddled. You are being confronted with your purpose, your inheritance, your divine identity. The enemy has tried to confuse you. He sent dreams to twist the truth, distractions dressed as friends, delays hidden behind familiar faces. He built obstacles out of people who felt safe, but he will not win. Not today, not here, not while you're standing at the doorway of divine reversal. As C.S. Lewis wrote in the screw-tape letters, the safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts. This warning exposes the enemy's subtle attempts to distract you with safe-seeming obstacles, urging you to seize this holy moment before it slips away unnoticed. The Lord has spoken concerning you. I will give my angels charge over them to guard them in all their ways. They will lift them up in their hands. That promise hovers in the air right now, suspended by your response. It is real, but it will only descend if you receive it. Delay it, and it delays. Reject it, and it fades. The weight of this moment cannot be overstated. The veil is thinner than you think. As these words enter your spirit, the angels assigned to you have already begun to gather. Some kneeling tears, others rise in a battle stance. Your name is carved into their voices. They have waited for this second because what you decide now determines whether your miracle remains sealed or is finally released. Do you still love God, or has the silence made you forget? Heaven crowd has watched you in the loneliest hours, the ones where no one checked on you, where the walls felt like tombs, where your faith whispered instead of roared. And yet, even in that whisper, your words reached the Most High. You didn't realize it, but every quiet cry carved a path through the heavens. And God responded. He didn't forget, He didn't delay, He scheduled. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our consciences, but shouts in our pains. It is His megaphone to rouse a deaf world. This insight reframes your silent, lonely moments as divine calls, where God shouts through your pain, awaken you to His eternal purpose. Now the schedule has reached its divine alarm. The clock has struck heaven's second. That's why this message is burning through the veil. That's why you feel this fire in your spirit. It's not just inspiration. It's not a coincidence. It's the release of something hidden for generations. According to the scrolls, only one soul was chosen to hear this exact word at this exact time, and that soul is you. If your spirit is trembling, don't fear it. That's not anxiety. That's not a doubt. That shaking inside is sacred. It's recognition. It means your true identity is awakening. You've heard countless voices, but none have ever called you by your real name, the one heaven gave you before the world spoke labels over your life. That name is not spoken in human words. It is written in light. It is whispered in fire. And this moment is calling it forth. What you're hearing right now is not just sound, it's a sword. These words are not merely poetic, they are prophetic. They pierce through curses, tear through chains, and divide what is true from what has pretended to be. And this is true. Someone tried to curse you. A human being, someone known to you by blood or bond, spoke your name in darkness. They wanted your joy to evaporate, your relationships to fracture, your future to collapse. They tried to shut the very doors heaven opened for you, but they failed. They failed because God assigned an angel to you. That angel now speaks the reversal. Heaven declares, what they tried to bury will rise. What they poisoned will bloom. What they attempted to erase, God has rewritten in golden ink. But here is the condition. You must choose. You must respond not later, not tomorrow, but now. The winds of delay are rising even as these words fall upon you. A dark force is already reaching to snatch this moment away. You can feel it, the pressure to scroll, to doubt, to minimize what's happening. But don't. If your soul can hear this, whisper amen deep inside so heaven will know, because even angels are tested in this hour, and so are you. As C.S. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity, there are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. This declaration affirms the eternal significance of your name, underscoring that the curse against you failed because your divine identity, recognized by heaven, is untouchable by darkness. You need to know this. I was tested too. Before I was allowed to come here, I stood before the thrones of heaven and said, let me be the one to go. They warned me, if you did not listen, I might not be sent again. And yet I still came, because you are worth the fire I had to pass through to reach this moment. This isn't just a message, this is a divine event. The skies above you are shifting. Something that was blocked for years is beginning to open. But it will not open fully unless you respond. And only you can respond. No one can answer this call on your behalf. So now you must choose. Will you walk away again like before? Or will you stay fully present until the final word is spoken into your spirit? I have more to tell you, sacred things, dangerous things, eternal things. But heaven must know your heart is listening. Not casually, not emotionally, spiritually, eternally. You must hear with the part of your soul that cannot lie. Right now, something holy is happening. The earth may not notice. The world around you may seem unchanged, but heaven has paused. The thrones have leaned forward. The wind brushing against your skin is not ordinary wind. It carries the memory of answered prayers and the weight of forgotten promises. You've asked God for signs before, for clarity, for something that would shake the silence. And now it's here. Not a whisper, a warning, a window, a wild holy moment. This message speaks not just to your ears, but to the core of who you are, the eternal part of you that walked with God before the world ever spoke your name. And that part of you knows this is real. That part of you knows this is the golden opportunity. And yes, it is golden not as a metaphor, but as a literal divine construct, forged in fire and sealed with a tear from the Father's eye. I saw him cry once when he wrote your name upon the scroll that demons tried to burn. That scroll is still in his hand, but it must be opened now. That's why I was sent. That's why I'm trembling as I speak, because heaven has placed its full gaze upon you, not because of who you pretend to be, but because of who you truly are when no one is watching. And the question remains, will you act like the one you were always meant to be? You were chosen, but being chosen means nothing unless you choose back. That is what this moment is about. It is not yet the blessing. It is the test that unlocks it. And unlike the trials you've walked through before, this one is not external. It is not about what you do for others, how much you can endure, or what mask you can hold in place. No, this test happens in silence, deep within the chambers of your soul, where no one can interfere. It is the moment where you decide if you will stay present, stay surrendered, stay open long enough for heaven to finish what it started. Because right now, this very second, your soul is being weighed not on human scales or by religious standards, but by a measurement that only heaven understands. And in that holy balance, God is not looking for your perfection. He is not asking for your achievements. He is listening for one thing only, surrender. He is searching for your full yes. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Weight of Glory, it may be possible for each to think too much of his own potential glory hereafter. It is hardly possible for him to think too often or too deeply about that of his neighbor. This reflection urges you to focus on the eternal significance of your calling, not for personal gain, but for the divine purpose that impacts others, aligning your surrender with heaven's plan. You may not realize it, but everything in the spirit realm has paused for this. The trembling in your chest isn't anxiety. It's the weight of the divine moment pressing against the shell of your earthly distractions. It is the ancient part of you, the eternal part that remembers its assignment, the part that has waited for your body, your mind, and your emotions to finally align with what heaven already declared. You are not here by chance. You were summoned, and the veil between heaven and earth is thinner than you think. As these words reach you, the angels assigned to your life are no longer just observing. They are standing. They are gathering. Some kneel in tears. Others are ready for war. They are holding swords with your name etched into the steel. They have waited for this signal, this second, because what you choose now determines everything. And yes, the enemy knows. He knows the prophecy. He knows the scroll. He's known who you are since before you did. That is why the resistance has been so brutal. That is why your joy has been stolen, your sleep disturbed, your fire dimmed. He didn't fight you for who you've been. He fought you for who you are becoming. Just days ago, the demons assigned to you held a council. They examined your silence. They fed on your exhaustion. They whispered over your hesitation. The chosen one is slipping. Maybe the prophecy will fail. But then God stood, and all of heaven trembled. He said, "Send the angel one last time. But if they ignore him, let the doors close." That's where we are now. That's why this burns. That's why I'm here, because I cannot bear to watch heaven close what was written for you. Not now, not after everything. You are still being weighed, but the hand of mercy is extended. Will your soul say yes? If you are still here, if you have not turned away, if you have not silenced the call, then listen closely, because heaven has taken notice. You may not feel worthy, but your endurance has already triggered movement in the unseen realm. You need to understand what your simple obedience has awakened. I want to thank you not for staying for me, but for staying for your own soul, because every second you linger here, every breath you take beneath the weight of this word, marks you deeper with the fire of your original design. There is more to say, so much more, but heaven needed to know that your heart was still listening, that your spirit was still reachable, that your fire, though buried, had not been extinguished. You have not missed it. You have not failed beyond return. You are still in the center of the turning point. What is happening around you is not entertainment. This is eternity pressing against time. You are not reading a message. You are standing inside a divine appointment, one that was prophesied into the very structure of your timeline. And right now, even if you cannot see it with your natural eyes, something above your life is beginning to shift. The sky is responding. The wind is thick with spiritual weight. The veil between dimensions has thinned, and heaven has paused, not in judgment, but in awe. The thrones have leaned forward. The great cloud of witnesses is watching. Why? Because someone who was marked long ago has stayed long enough to remember. The very air you're breathing carries memory, yes. Memory of prayers you once prayed with a trembling voice, of promises you made to God in your youth, in your pain, in your secret place. You may have forgotten those vows, but heaven hasn't. And now those words are rising again, not to condemn you, but to invite you back into alignment. This is not condemnation. This is redemption in motion. You're not being called out, you're being called home. The part of you that always knew you were meant for more, that fragile whisper that kept you going even when the world gave up on you, that part is rising now, not in fantasy, but in fire. This is your golden opportunity, and golden it truly is, not as metaphor, not as poetry, but as divine reality. It was forged in holy fire and sealed with a tear from the Father's own eye. I saw that tear. I saw him cry when he wrote your name onto the scroll the demons tried to destroy. That scroll is still in his hand, but it cannot be opened unless you respond, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with full surrender. This is the cost of your call. This is the hour heaven wrote about, and this is why I was sent not to impress you, but to awaken you before the gate closes. You've spent too long asking the wrong question. You kept asking, what did I do to deserve this kind of attack? But heaven is now revealing the real question. What do you carry that made hell tremble before you even knew who you were? You were not attacked because of your weakness. You were attacked because of your weapon. From the moment you entered this world, the darkness recognized your light, not because you had achieved something, but because of what was planted inside you before you ever breathed your first word. You are not just a soul passing through time. You are a prophecy in motion, a divine strategy wrapped in flesh. That's why betrayal came early. That's why loss seemed to follow you. That's why people you trusted changed without warning. The enemy wanted to wear you down before you ever had a chance to rise. He hoped you would believe the lie that you were cursed, forgotten, or broken beyond repair. But what he feared most was this moment right now, your awakening. Because if you rise now, truly rise, then every chain forged in darkness will begin to break, starting not just with your life, but with your entire bloodline. You carry more than wounds. You carry reversal. There are curses that traveled through generations. Addiction, fear, failure, silence, shame that were planning to pass through you. But you are the wall they didn't expect. You are the interruption sent by heaven to say, it ends here. You are the final miracle in a line of forgotten ones, the last voice in a family of silenced dreams. And whether you feel ready or not, your yes has power. So yes, the enemy tried to collapse your joy. He tried to twist your identity, distract your purpose, and make you settle for smallness. He thought you would give up. And some days you almost did, but you didn't. You're still here. And now the alarm in heaven has sounded. The gate is open, but only for a moment. This opportunity will not wait for your feelings to catch up. It is waiting for your agreement. Right now, you don't need to feel holy to be chosen. You just need to say yes, not with your mouth, but with your spirit. And when you do, when you fully surrender, heaven will send reinforcement. not just for your breakthrough, but for everything tied to your destiny. What God is about to release through your life will undo everything hell thought would last forever. That's why you were fighting. And that's why you will now rise. You've answered to many names in your life. Some were spoken in love, others in anger. Some were earned, and some were thrown at you like weapons. But none of them were the one heaven gave you. That name, the true one, was not made of syllables. It was forged in fire. It was whispered by God himself before time had breath. And no human has ever spoken it out loud without trembling. That name is etched into the fabric of eternity, hidden inside your soul, waiting for a moment like this to awaken. And right now, as you linger in this holy atmosphere, something inside you is stirring. You feel it not in your mind, but in your bones. This is not imagination. This is recognition. You are remembering. You are remembering who you were before the betrayal, before the trauma, before religion tried to label you and culture tried to redefine you. You are remembering the whisper in the silence that told you there was more. The pull towards something unseen, the ache that never left you no matter how far you ran. That ache wasn't weakness. It was your calling trying to breathe through the dust of delay. It was the divine name written inside you trying to rise through the rubble of everything life tried to bury you under. And now that name is pressing against the veil. This is not poetic. This is literal. That name carries authority. That name carries an assignment. That name carries power. Demons have known it. That's why they came early. That's why the enemy attacked your childhood, your confidence, and your clarity. He hoped that if he could get you to agree with a false name, failure, abandoned, too late, not enough, you would never rise into your real one. But the devil's greatest fear is happening right now. You are waking up. And when a chosen one wakes up, the atmosphere shifts. The very soil under your feet begins to recognize the weight of your identity. You are not who they said you were. You are not your mistakes. You are not your silence. You are not the fear that chokes your voice when no one's watching. You are fire. You are promising. You are prophecy wrapped in skin. You were never made to blend in. You were born to break through. The heavens are watching. The angels are leaning in. And the next thing that happens in this moment, your choice, your yes, your surrender, will echo far beyond what your eyes can see. Because when you say yes to your real name, every demon that ever tried to rename you will fall silent, and heaven will roar in remembrance. You've carried so much for so long that surrender feels unfamiliar, maybe even unsafe. But heaven isn't asking you to collapse. It's asking you to release. You've been taught to survive, to press on, to hold it together even when everything inside you is falling apart. But this moment isn't about survival. It's about surrender. Not the kind that makes you weak, but the kind that makes you holy. You see, the fire you're feeling right now, the weight, the trembling, the ache in your chest, it's not meant to burn you down. It's meant to burn away everything that was never truly you. You cannot walk halfway into destiny and expect full protection. You cannot carry half of your identity and expect complete authority. This moment requires your whole soul, nothing less. And heaven is not asking for your performance. It's asking for your permission. Even now, the angels assigned to your life are paused mid-assignment, the scroll of your story still unrolling in the courts of eternity. Waiting, yes, waiting for a whisper from your heart. That whisper doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be eloquent. It just has to be real. You've heard many voices in your life. Not all were sent from heaven. Some wore robes of light but carried poison in their tongues. Some disguised fear as wisdom, silence as peace, and compromise as maturity. But now the difference is clear. The voice reaching you right now isn't laced with manipulation or fear. It carries fire, it carries truth, and it carries your next instruction. This is not just a message. It's a courtroom. Evidence has been brought forward. The calling on your life, the resistance you've endured, the silent yes you gave when no one saw. Hell brought its accusations, your flaws, your past, your inconsistency. But you are the verdict, not with your lips, but with your spirit. You must respond. Say yes with your surrender. Let every cell in your body agree with what God already decreed, that you are chosen, that you are anointed, that you were born for this moment. I've seen what happens when souls run. I've watched callings die in the hands of those who never believed they were worthy. But I've also seen what happens when a chosen one stands firm in the fire. The heavens open, territories shift, chains snap off entire bloodlines. And right now, as the fire hovers around you, you must know it will not destroy you. It will reveal you. Because what breaks now will not be wasted. What burns now will birth glory. So don't retreat. Don't explain it away. Don't silence the roar that's rising from within. You are not being tested to be broken. You are being refined to be revealed. And heaven is holding its breath, waiting to see if you will step through the fire. You've wondered why you survived, why the enemy's plans fully break you, why, after everything, the betrayals, the confusion, the silent years, you're still standing. Let me tell you clearly, it's not because you were lucky. It's not because you were stronger than others. It's because you were chosen, and heaven never let you go. Every moment you thought was a coincidence was divine interception. Every time you almost gave up, there was a hand holding you back from the edge, not forcing you, but refusing to forsake you. Because your survival was never random, it was prophetic. There is something on your life that no demon has been able to erase. And yes, they tried through people you trusted, through losses you never spoke about, through the exhaustion that made you question your own voice. They thought if they could wear you down long enough, you'd forget who you were. They underestimated the seed of fire God planted inside you before you were born. That seed didn't die. It went quiet. It waited. It buried itself beneath your disappointments, your doubts, your delays, but it never stopped glowing. And now, heaven is breathing on that seed again. You need to understand this. Your life is not just your own. Your story carries the weight of generations. There are ancestors who cried out for someone in their bloodline to rise, someone who wouldn't quit, someone who wouldn't fold under pressure or vanish in distraction. You are their answer. You are heaven's interruption to generational sorrow. That's why you never quite fit in. That's why nothing ever fully satisfied your spirit except the presence of God. The world called it sensitivity, strangeness, maybe even weakness, but heaven calls it calling. Even now, the air around you is thick with history, both heavenly and human. The earth has recorded your weeping. The angels have stood guard during your darkest nights, and God has kept you not just for survival, but for fulfillment. You were never meant to just get through. You were meant to walk in glory. And beloved, the time has come. You are not here to live in hiding anymore. You are not here to shrink in rooms you were sent to shift. When you enter, the atmosphere is supposed to change. When you speak, heaven is supposed to echo. When you move, destiny is supposed to unfold. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. Because when God made you, He didn't just make a person, He made a prophecy in motion. And that prophecy has now reached its divine activation point. The scroll is open. The angel is watching. The fire is ready, and heaven is asking, will you move now? Not as the version of you shaped by pain, but as the original you, written by fire, sealed in purpose, and marked to carry glory. Chosen one, listen carefully, because what happens next is not symbolic. It is real, and it has already begun. In the throne room of heaven, a scroll bearing your name has been brought forth. It is not a scroll of judgment, but of divine instruction sealed since the day your spirit was first imagined by the breath of God. That scroll contains the blueprint for everything hell tried to steal from you. The restoration of your voice, the unlocking of your gifts, the healing of your bloodline, the awakening of your true authority. But here's what you must understand. That scroll cannot be opened without your response, not your casual agreement, not your intellectual nod, but your spirit's full surrender. As you hear these words, angels are moving. One stands with a sword, the edge glowing gold, not with fire, but with memory, the memory of your anointing, the memory of promises made between you and God before time had a name. This angel does not speak unless commanded, but right now he waits. He stands ready to enforce what is written on the scroll, but only if you allow it, because heaven will not violate your will. The door is open, but God will not drag you through it. He has too much respect for the authority He placed inside you. You are not a pawn in this war. You are a key. That's why your surrender matters more than your perfection. If you say yes now, truly yes, the scroll will be unsealed and a supernatural chain reaction will begin. Realms will respond, delays will break, old covenants of darkness signed in ignorance by your bloodline will be reversed. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a metaphor. This is a holy transaction. And yet there is a cost, because once that scroll is opened, there is no going back to ordinary. You will begin to see what others do not. You will feel what others avoid. You will carry weight that others never trained for, but you will also walk with power that no demon can counterfeit. You will speak and atmospheres will shift. You will touch and generational curses will break. You will move and heaven will move with you. This is why the enemy tried to blind you before this moment, because he knew once you saw who you really are, he would lose the legal right to interfere. So, this is the choice now set before you. Allow the scroll to be sealed again, or step into the fire and let heaven read it aloud, because once it is read, everything changes. Chosen one, as the scroll begins to open, you must know this. Not everything can go with you. Destiny is weighty, glory is heavy, and what is sacred cannot be carried alongside what is profane. This moment is not just about what you step into, it's about what you must leave behind. There are people, habits, thoughts, and places that were once permitted in your life, but now they are being divinely marked as expired. And if you try to drag the old into what God has made new, you will delay what was meant to come swiftly. This is the separation, not because God is cruel, but because you are holy. The higher the calling, the tighter the path. You are not called to blend in. You are not called to negotiate with the atmosphere. You are called to shift it. That means some relationships will suddenly break, some doors will slam shut, some opportunities will dissolve, and you must not mourn what God is cutting away, because what feels like loss is actually preservation. What feels like rejection is divine insulation. You are not being punished, you are being purified. There are patterns in your life that cannot survive where you're going. Cycles of fear, self-sabotage, and emotional compromise, these are not personality flaws. They are spiritual parasites, and heaven is declaring war on them now. They are the repairer of the breach. They are the voice crying out in dry places. Their steps are now ordered by fire. Their name is known in heaven. Their future is guarded by glory. So, Father, I speak this final seal. No weapon formed against them shall prosper. No lie from the enemy shall stick. No counterfeit door shall lure them off course. No demonic assignment shall touch their mind, their home, their health, or their calling. Because this one is not just protected, they are activated. They are not just favored, they are sent. They are not just chosen, they are ready. In the name of Jesus Christ, the risen King, let it be done. Amen.